So I messed up and said that Abram had his name changed to Abraham in Genesis 15. That's not right. It's Genesis 17, and that's very important, and it plays along with our sixth thought on prayer, which we may or may not get to in this video. So in Genesis 12, God calls Abram out of his homeland to leave his family behind, and that God promises him that he's going to make him a prosperous nation, father of many nations, all of that stuff. And Abram was 75 years old when that happened in Genesis 12. So Genesis 13 and 14 document some of Abram's travels. Genesis 15, God returns to Abram and reminds him, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. We don't know exactly the timeline of when that happened, chronologically speaking. We just know it was after the events of Genesis 14. So then in Genesis 16, we find Abram is 85 years old. So 10 years, give or take, has passed, okay? And Sarai, his wife, says, we're not getting any younger. Why don't you, and this is a completely normal practice for the day, and there's a good reason why it seems so foreign to us today, but she said, why don't you go and father a child through my handmaid, and that will be your heir. So basically what that documents for us is Abram becoming impatient instead of waiting on God, trying to make the promise happen himself. And the scripture tells us at the end of that chapter that when Ishmael was born, Abram was 86. And the next time that God speaks to Abram was 13 years later, when Abram was 99. And that's when the covenant happened. That's when God changed his name from Abram to Abraham, because Abraham had tried it on his own and failed. And that's what we have to do sometimes, is reach that place of I can't do anything in order for God to really do something in our life. We've got to abandon all hope in the flesh. And Abraham had. Let's go ahead really quickly and talk about this sixth thing. In Genesis 18, God is talking to Abraham and Sarai, and reminding them, saying, you're going to have a son, and you're going to call his name Isaac. Sarah laughs, and God says, is anything too hard for the Lord? And this is God speaking about himself. And it's important for us when we approach God in prayer to understand there's nothing that is too difficult for him. Have confidence that he is able.